This is a Touchstone Publishers presentation, your trusted source of leadership knowledge.
The pleasures of doing a live show. Forgot to take my microphone off of mute. So we'll just kind of start over for you. My name is Glenn Daniels, and I'm the COO of Touchstone Publishers. Again, I apologize for not taking that mic off the mute button. We're taking the mute off, but we're rolling now. So I want to begin a three-part series on a program that I want to share with you. Hope to see your comments with it, and we can work through this. There's a three-part program on leadership traits. What does it take for you to have to show some great leadership traits? What are they? Because oftentimes we may learn some of the things we need to learn, but we see people who seem to have a real easy thing about this. And we kind of wonder about how they're so easily able to be leaders. Well, my suggestion is going to be to understand that leadership can be learned. It is skills, it is techniques, and we can make this all happen for ourselves by truly focusing on the traits, the skills, and the techniques we need. So the first trait I would like to share with you is the idea that you must have courage. You must have courage. You must have courage. When I say courage here, I mean you must have the ability to believe in yourself, to have enough courage to do the right thing, to have those difficult conversations, to spend the extra time reading books. You must have courage, the courage to fail so you can get better. It takes courage. But that's just soft skill there for me until you have courage. In order for you to have courage, though, you have to have a certain level of confidence. Okay? And I'm going to suggest this to you. You must begin with the knowledge of yourself and of your occupation, of your company, of your career. You must begin with the knowledge of yourself. You must understand where you're weak at, where you need to work on. You must understand your strengths. By the way, I'm going to take a different viewpoint here. Building on your strengths does not make you more rounded. It does not make you more flexible. Only thing it does is build your confidence. But what about those things you're not so strong on? The things that you don't have that strength on. As those things continue to not improve, your confidence will not improve. You want to get your confidence to grow greatly, work on your weaknesses. That old story about Michael Jordan, the world's greatest basketball player, who every year during the offseason worked on his weaknesses so he would be a better, more rounded player and to be called the world's greatest of all time basketball player. Wasn't just his strength, he worked on his weaknesses. So as his career developed, he now started developing a three-point jump shot that he didn't have when he was in college or at his first few years. He started developing those type of skills. He started developing his thinking skills. What are you weak at? Develop that. Build some knowledge on yourself. Occupation. You should be the industry expert. You should be the industry expert in what you're doing. You should know everything there is to know about this. You should everything it is about your job. You should know everything there is to know. And because you can never know everything there is to know, that means you have to keep on working on it. You have to keep on studying it and practicing it and going forth with it. This is required. Here's what I know how you can build confidence. Competence. Have some competence in your field. Have some competence in yourself. Have some competence in your skills and techniques. That will cause you to have confidence. And anything that you need courage for, because you'll have the confidence, you'll take that next step. Confidence, confidence, courage. Competence, confidence, and courage. Okay, the next trait that you must develop is a trait of having self control. You got to get yourself and understand that you need to have self control. You need to know when you are tired and when you're going to be more likely to snap at somebody. You need to know and have that self control to say, okay, wait a minute. I don't like this person because of their haircut or the tattoo that they have or the lack of tattoos they have or the earrings or all these different things that we like to put bad labels on. Okay. You need to have the self control so that you know to treat that person fairly and evenly, to do everything fairly and evenly. It could be a very tough day, it could be a very hard assignment, but you need to develop self control. So that feeds back to knowing yourself. You know yourself, and you know where you need to grab a little bit more self control. Because here's the biggest thing about self control: when you're in self control, you set the example. Your self control sets the example for everyone else. So you have a hard project coming your way. It's something that you don't really agree with, but you have to have the self control not to let your team see that you don't agree with that because this is your orders to follow. When are you going to possibly lose that self control? You need to know yourself well enough to know, okay, if someone pushes me here, I could possibly lose my self control. Identify that. Then once that person pushes that button there, you might be able to hold that self control in a little bit better because you've already identified, okay, if that happens, this will happen. So I'm going to react this way. React this way. It's important that you remember that and kind of get that going. Here's how you can actually help that to come about. Start to ask yourself the right questions. That being partly that when you're having a hard time with something, or you're going to have a hard time with something, or you foresee yourself having a hard time with something, ask yourself, how do I really want to behave? Because after all, you are in complete 100% responsible for how you react to things. So start asking yourself, how do I want to react when things go bad? When this person pushes my buttons? When this paperwork doesn't get done on time? When my boss tells me something to do that I don't agree with? How do I want to react? Ask yourself better questions. And then also get in the habit of saying the right affirmations. Affirmations can serve you if you use them right. Say the affirmation and the positive. I always just simply say, go to the easiest affirmation there is, the best affirmation that there is, and that is to simply say, I am. To me, that's the best affirmation you can have. I am the person who does what is right. Okay? If you're the person who does what is right, you know what? You will automatically come up with some self control. You'll have the courage to do what is right because you have the competence and the confidence to do what's right because you are the person who does what is right. And that's the power of self control. That's the power of self control. The next trait we want to talk about: justice. Justice. Justice for all. Not just words, powerful justice. In order for this justice to really come to being, you have to have the courage to do what's right for everybody. You have to have the confidence, the courage. You have to control yourself. You have to have self control so you can apply justice. You must pay attention to how you treat everyone. A gentleman in one of my classes wrote back to me a couple months ago and simply said, I started paying attention to how I treated people. I actually started a little chart so I could keep track of things. In your class, you mentioned 80% of your feedback to people should be positive. If 80% of my feedback people should be positive, then I need to work on that. But what I was doing, I realized, is I was just going to the people that I liked to tell them they did a good job. So I made a little tick chart for myself that laid out, okay, hey, I went by to this person today and I said something positive. Saw this person said something positive. That way I would go all the way through the list, not letting anybody get 2 or 3 ahead, but maybe 1 or 2 ahead, but keeping them all even so I can supply that justice of great feedback. Now, by the way, that's how I build a lot of trust with people. That's how he builds a lot of trust with people. I give them great positive feedback, so when I need to correct them, it's not so harsh. Feedback, corrective feedback, is usually an attack on someone's personality. They take it that way. You may not mean it that way, but they take it as a personal attack on them. But if you have been personally giving them positive feedback, it helps mitigate that damage. Okay. Now, you have to be fair about this, and that's why you have to figure out how to have justice with people, how to be justice, how to apply justice. What I'm trying to say is how to apply justice. Easy enough. Be fair to everybody. Remember, justice is not your brand, what you think it is. Justice is what that person feels it is. Okay? Okay. We oftentimes hear this article, this argument about how people will say to you, well, that's just the way I am. They have to get to know me. They have to understand I don't mean any harm by it. I call people buddy or honey or things like that. I don't mean anything by it. We're not talking about you. We're not talking about you. You are the leader. We're talking about you uplifting your team. You're helping your team get better. Justice is realizing that calling somebody buddy or honey may not seem appropriate to them, and it's not just for them to call you that. Okay? Buddy. That term buddy, I'm going to ask all of you to stop telling your professional relationships, calling them buddy. Okay? That in itself says that you don't respect them enough to remember their name. Okay? That's not justice to remember somebody on your team, not to remember somebody's name on your team. It is not justice for you to not remember somebody's name on your team. Okay? Justice. Political correctness. That's another word for it. A lot of people don't like it, but that's what it is. Okay? Justice. Not for you, but for that person who you're working with. A little bit long today, so I just will share with you a quick thank you and let you know that tomorrow and the next day we'll do part 2 and part 3 of these 11 traits. So 3 or 4 tomorrow, 3 or 4 on the next day. Okay. I want you to join us. I want you to start putting your comments so we can address those. Then once we get more people involved, we'll put those comments up and maybe we'll have a day where we open this up for everyone to listen to. So just remember what we covered today: courage, self-control, and justice. We'll do 3 or 4 more tomorrow. Okay. Oh, sorry. One last thing. One last thing I got to share with you. I want you to start thinking about improving your communication skills. I want you to start thinking about how can I improve my communication skills? The number one way you can improve your communication skills, now you should take this with a lot of joy because this is the number one way to improve your communication skills and you should become very joyous and I'm going to share this secret with you. And by the way, you're not going to like it so much. But the number one way to improve your communication skills is to stop talking. Yes, that is the number one way to improve your communication skills. You want to become one of the best communicators on this planet? Stop talking. When I ask somebody a question, I'm going to stop talking. We know how difficult it is to let that silence do the work for you. But if you ask somebody a question and you stop talking, it gives them a fair chance to put together their response. You don't just jump back in. So let's say you're talking to somebody and you say to them, I'd like to find out how you plan to do a better job here. If you didn't say anything else, that person will eventually come up with their answer. We're always tempted to jump in there and say, well, what if you did this? Well, I'm going to suggest that you stop talking. Okay. That's how you can improve your communication skills, and that's how you can do it right now today. Stop talking. Okay. I want to thank you so very much for joining us today. It's been a great day for us. Sorry for that rough start where I'm talking without the microphone on. It happens to me. But I'll get better at this. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging out. Enjoy your day.